We've made it to another one. Happy Friday and welcome to another episode of Hornets Daily, your one-stop shop for all things Charlotte Hornets. As always, we're presented by the good people over at FanArc, and I'm your host, Vance Ballard, but you know by now, you can call me VB. Want to thank everybody for joining us out there, watching along with us today. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, leave a like and a comment down in the comment section. You know how much we enjoy watching you guys interact, seeing some of your thoughts on the show as we continue to grow and build this Hornets Daily family here on the program. Now, it is a slower point in the NBA. It's the summertime. The offseason is in full effect. It is a bit of a dead period here in the NBA, but that doesn't mean there's not a couple things still going on down in the Queen City, and you know we're going to bring them all to you right here today. On the docket for the show, Spencer Dinwiddie is a name we have not talked a lot about this offseason since he's been added to the Hornets roster, but he has expressed some excitement about being a part of the Charlotte Hornets, and we'll talk today about what his role could be and what that excitement may mean for his impact going forward. It is projected depth chart season as we get closer to training camp and the preseason. It's time for those starting lineups, those projected depth charts to start rolling out. We'll talk a little bit about today about Yahoo's projected starting lineup. They did put out the whole depth chart, but today we're just going to discuss the starting lineup. We'll get into the depth chart next week as the show continues to progress. And then it's a unique trip out to the rumor mill today, not necessarily one that someone thinks the Hornets should do or could do right now. But if they do decide to move on from LaMelo Ball around the trade deadline, what would a package deal for him look like? We'll talk a little bit about that today on the show. And then a very summertime topic coming up, a very middle of the offseason. Who is going to be the Hornets' best player in 3 years? Bleacher Report took a stab at that, so we'll talk a little bit about that. I thought that was an interesting article. We'll wrap the show up with that and send you on into the weekend with a little bit of fun, talking about who the Hornets could possibly have in the future be their best player. Now, you know we don't do beating around the bush. We like to dive headfirst into the program here, and that's exactly what we're going to do today. As I mentioned, Spencer Dinwiddie, a veteran acquisition for the Hornets in the offseason, something we are all well aware of, but not a lot of talk has been done about him since he's been added. Not really excitement or upset, no really flash or anything like that. No big draw to the addition of Spencer Dinwiddie, but he does have a place on this team. I do think there is something for him to add to the Hornets. I do feel like he could play a big role this season in more ways than one. It seems so far that there's no real excitement, there's no real displeasure with the addition of Spencer Dinwiddie. I think everybody is just kind of pleased or content to have another veteran, to have another presence like that in the NBA, in the locker room, another guy that can help steer the ship if things do kind of get off course. With the addition of a proven NBA veteran, someone who we know can come off the bench, can get double figures in the scoring category if need be, but also brings a real presence about him, a familiarity with the NBA. He can help these young guys. He can help this core kind of get back on the right track if things do start to go awry. And he's also fantastic preparation for the worst-case scenario of LaMelo Ball getting hurt. We're all well aware of that being a possibility, so you've got to prepare for it accordingly. And having a guy like Spencer Dinwiddie waiting in case LaMelo does go down, could be crucial for the Hornets, as he would help production not really drop off. He'd be able, again, to keep things going in the right direction. Now, if there was any reason at all to get excited about a guy like Spencer Dinwiddie, about this move, it would have to be the fact that he played 79 games last year in what was year 10 in the NBA. So not only is he a proven veteran, we know he's got the ability to play and make an impact on the court with his game. He is a very reliable guard as well, knowing that is going to be there. Someone who's going to be available for the predominant amount of games is a big help for the Hornets. It's a big sense of comfort, not only for the organization, for the coaching staff, but for the fan base as well. We know that if LaMelo does go down, if things do go awry, there's someone like Spencer Dinwiddie to come in kind of and bring it all back together. He can still man the offense. He can still run the floor. He can be a facilitator. He can score if he needs to, and he's not a handicap on the defensive end of the floor. So adding him, I think, is going to be very important for the Hornets if he is necessary in an injury type situation, and even if he's not, he's going to be a very important piece as he can come in and spell the guards, and again, production won't dip too badly with him being on the floor. Now, it's not just the fan base, it's not just the coaching staff, not just the rest of the team that are content or even a little bit happy or joyful that Spencer Dinwiddie is on this roster. He, too, has expressed some excitement about being part of the team. Some sources close to him and around the building are saying that good things and positive talk is coming out of Spencer Dinwiddie. It's been said he is excited to be a part of this team, and I think part of the reason for that, if I was him anyway, I would feel excited about being one of those veterans, getting to use this opportunity to share some of that knowledge and experience that he's gained throughout his career and help get these young guys developing further and on a faster track to turning this thing around here in Charlotte. Dinwiddie can play a big role in that as well, and I think that's something he's interested in. Another positive thing about him, he's got his own NBA experience. He's got his own career to talk about and to draw from, but he's played alongside some of the greats in this league. He's been a teammate of LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Anthony Davis. He's played with Luka, so he knows what it takes to be great from their perspective, from that perspective as well. He can kind of share some of the knowledge, some of the stuff he picked up on just being around those guys. He can help pass that on to a LaMelo Ball, a Brandon Miller, Con Knippel even, and help them continue to grow and develop towards their maximum potential here in the NBA, which we all hope is greatness out of at least one of them. So if Dinwiddie can help kind of guide them along in that way, he'll be a massive addition to not just the roster, but into the locker room as well going forward. Now, as I said, it is coming along into the time where we're getting closer and closer to training camp, close to the preseason, the regular season knocking at the door. That means it is time for the projected depth charts and starting lineups to start coming out. Each writer, expert, analyst, whatever you want to call them, is going to start to give their opinion. And today we're going to take a closer look at Yahoo's sports projected starting lineup for the Charlotte Hornets. Again, they did the entire depth chart. We'll get into that next week when we've got a little bit more time to prepare and discuss everything. But today we're going to hit on their projected starting lineup, and it looks like this. LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller, Con Knippel, Miles Bridges, and Moussa Diabate are the five that Yahoo Sports thinks Charlotte will run out there on opening night. One of the most interesting things about this to me is that Con is already in the starting lineup in these early projections that we're seeing, skipping right over the potential of starting Colin Sexton and immediately having him come off the bench instead in place of Con Knippel, moving Brandon Miller up to the 2. That's what I found to be the most interesting part of that projected starting lineup, especially with Con being in it so early. Now, if this is the case, if that's what Charles Lee and company decided to do, and that's who the Hornets run out there, that's going to present, in my opinion, the only issue is it makes the bench situation a little more confusing. It presents a couple issues within that second unit and and it threatens, in my opinion, just for the potential to leave them kind of high and dry on the defensive end of the floor if it's set up that way. I tend to disagree with Con being in the starting lineup, especially on opening night. Now, obviously, you don't draft a guy number 4 without the hopes of him working his way into the starting lineup early in the season, definitely in his rookie season. But I'm not sure that's the Hornets' best move for opening night or right off the jump. And I think that I feel that way for a few reasons. I'm not sure him in the starting lineup is best for the Hornets positionally. Again, I think Brandon Miller is a little better suited to move up and play the 2. Move down, and play the 3. He can have a little more offensive advantages there from that position, in my opinion. And bringing Con off the bench will just allow for him to develop and come along a little more, as we've never seen him play a minute in the NBA. We know all the promise that he has. We know his floor is really high. We saw him out in Las Vegas and what he's capable of, but that does not change the fact that Con has yet to play an NBA minute. And a guy like Colin Sexton is a proven veteran playmaker in the NBA. We know he can go out and get you 18 points a game. He's done it for his entire career now, which is approaching the better part of a decade here in the league. And I think that could be a better fit early on for the Hornets to know there's a third guy on the floor at all times that can get you some points, that can handle the ball, that can get to the rim and open the things up for LaMelo Ball, as opposed to the uncertainties that come along with starting a rookie like Con Knibble on day one. I also think that Colin Sexton and Trey Mann would be better suited to play as separately as much as possible. I think keeping those two guys on the floor at the same time presents itself with some potential defensive struggles, kind of handicaps that roster, as neither of them are known as great or elite defenders. They're both kind of undersized at the guard position as well, so it just could lead to some trouble having them on the court at the same time if they are to play an abundance of time together. I think that could potentially set up some negatives on the defensive end of the floor for Charlotte. I mentioned I think Brandon Miller would be better suited at the 3 as well. So if Sexton starts at the 2, Con Knibble comes off the bench, then he can come in and play either the 2 or the 3 off the bench. I think he may fit a little better at the 2 guard, but that's just me. But Con could come in. Trey Mann also comes in, and he can play alongside Con Knibble, allowing for Colin Sexton to be with the 1s and those two not have to potentially handicap the defense by being on the floor at the same time. As I mentioned, we'll talk a little bit more about the rest of the depth chart going forward on next week's shows, as we have a little more time to study and understand those a little better. And again, it is September, so we need to fill some time. We'll do that next week. Now, I told you we're going to take a different type of rumor mill look today. It's not exactly the normal ones where someone is saying the Hornets should do this, or the Hornets need to do this, or this is what's going to put them over the top. But it also would not be a Hornets Daily show if we didn't talk about LaMelo Ball, so we're going to do that too. LaMelo's name's back swirling around in trade packages, back swirling around in what ifs. What would a package for him look like? When would they make the move? All of those things. It's starting to pop back up again. Slow periods, need stuff to talk about. But Zach Roberts is not, he's also in the mix here. He's writing about what a package for LaMelo could look like. He's not exactly saying that the Hornets will or even should move on from LaMelo, just kind of predicting what a package could look like if they did. Roberts predicts that if the Hornets made a move around the deadline, it would be a team kind of like the Orlando Magic who could pick up the phone, who could be an option for putting together one of those packages. And in his hypothetical, this package, the Hornets receive 4 players, 2 first-round picks, and a second-round pick in return for LaMelo Ball and Nick Smith Jr. Now let's get a little deeper. The players that are included from the Magic are Jonathan Isaac, would be the return of Wendell Carter Jr., Goja Bitadze, and Anthony Black would be the 4 players. Now, I know it's just a hypothetical, but I do think that this deal would be a, not mistake, but I do think it would be a loss for the Hornets, strictly in terms of the players that they get back for the players that they give up. None of the players that I just mentioned are dynamic team leaders, best player on the team type guys. They're not going to carry you forwards anyway. They're all good basketball players, don't get me wrong, and they do have potential uses here in Charlotte, but none of them are LaMelo Ball. LaMelo is a dynamic scorer. He's a game changer when he is on, when he is playing at his best, and when he is healthy. Now, I know how scary that is, but none of the other guys that I just mentioned, in my opinion, have that ability. We kind of know Jonathan Isaac, not really exciting. Anthony Black, a little bit underwhelming as well. So I don't know that those players in return for LaMelo and Nick Smith Jr. are exactly worth it. And I'm not sure that even the added first-round picks make it worth giving up someone like someone who could potentially or is right now your best player like LaMelo Ball. And if he meshes well leading up to the trade deadline and things seem to be going in the right direction, then there's even less of a reason or a chance that the Hornets move on from LaMelo at the trade deadline. But Zach Roberts did share what he thinks a package could look like, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that today as well. When ultimately I think the Hornets will end up keeping LaMelo Ball, not just this year, but for the long term. I think they're going to continue to build around him and Brandon Miller. I think it's going to work with Con Knibble fitting in with those two guys as well. And I also have said that I think Colin Sexton will probably end up here after this season in Charlotte, but I could be very wrong about that. That's just a take that I have moving forward. If they do move on from LaMelo at the trade deadline or any time in the season, I think they would be much better suited to look for a more dynamic playmaker in return for LaMelo Ball. Now, I know Anthony Black has the capability. Jonathan Isaac, again, a good player. Goja Batadze doesn't really fit the Hornets or do anything for me, and we know about Wendell Carter Jr. He, again, just kind of is there in that trade, so I'm not exactly sure if that's the right one. I think the Hornets, if they did move on from LaMelo, could find a little bit better package, but that is just the one we saw and wanted to talk about today. And we're going to wrap the program up. I told you a little bit. We're going to have a more interesting, definite middle of the summertime type article. Who is going to be the Hornets' best player in 3 years? Well, Bleacher Report's Grant Hughes took a stab at picking out at his prediction for who every team's best player will be in 3 years, and I thought that was interesting. So we're going to talk a little bit about it on the show today. Each team here, of course, has been selected, a player from each team by Grant Hughes. Brandon Miller has been the chosen one for the Charlotte Hornets, and I think that is probably a pretty good choice. Obviously, right off the bat, when you hear it, there are two names that jump out. It's either Brandon Miller or LaMelo Ball. We don't know enough about the rookies yet to know if they'll be on that list at all. So it really comes down to Brandon Miller or LaMelo Ball, and I think that that Brandon Miller is the right choice. His length, his athleticism, his ability to play the guard or the forward position, not to mention where he already stands as an offensive basketball player, are part of what lead me to think that Brandon Miller is the right choice here and agree with Grant Hughes in picking him. Again, where he stands offensively already, he's only going to continue to get better. He's a great shooter from all over the floor. He's a good ball handler for a guy of his size, and he's a fantastic playmaker. He'll continue to improve his shooting. He'll continue to find different spots that he's able to work from, and defenses will have a tougher and tougher time stopping him on that end of the floor. If Charles Lee sticks around in Charlotte and Brandon Miller sticks around with him, and Lee continues to instill the defensive mindset, the defensive attitude that he has towards that end of the floor within this Hornets team, especially with a guy like Brandon Miller, that's only going to propel him forwards, and that means that will give me little doubt that he'll be the best player in Charlotte in 3 years, and hopefully going forwards for a long time to that. Brandon Miller can again, he can play the forward or the guard. If he continues to get better at defense, that increases his chances of being able, in spells and in spurts, to drop down and guard the four as well. So that, too, gives him another trick, another trait, another thing to put in his tool belt. Brandon Miller is going to develop into a real legitimate star here in the NBA, and I think Charlotte is going to be very lucky that they have him going forwards. If we're wrong about this and Brandon Miller is not the best player on the Hornets in 3 years, I think that only bodes well for the Hornets. We know he's not going to be bad. It's not like he's going to be the worst player on the team, and he's not going to drop off. He's only going to be as bad, so bad. And so if Brandon Miller is not the best player, if he is the second best, third best, whatever it may be, that speaks volumes and is only a good thing for the Hornets. It means the rest of the guys around him are succeeding. They are growing and developing. And if Brandon Miller is not your best player, you're probably in a pretty good spot as an organization. So if Grant Hughes is wrong, if I'm wrong in agreeing with him and Brandon Miller is not the best player, then I think we're still going to be all right going forwards within the Hornets organization and fan base. But that remains to be seen. Again, that's a summertime thing, predicting 3 years into the future. Just kind of need some stuff to talk about as we move into the weekend, and we're going to use that to send you into the weekend. That's going to do it for today's show. As always, folks, thanks for watching out there. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Leave a like and a comment down in the comment section. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. Stay safe, and we'll see you right back here on Monday with a brand new episode of Hornets.